Hey friends, it's hot news time. Why don't you jump on in and settle on down with some popcorn? I don't know how you watch this stuff. Candy, juice, nice juice box. Get a Capri Sun, stab that pouch. You guys got it. And while you're doing that, why don't you check out today's video sponsor, which is us and our dope merch. Yes, my friends, I'm wearing the hot floppy shirt. Ooh, the Teespring shirts are so nice. And if you go to the link in the video description, you can see where you can get all of our hot fresh merch. We got that press F to pay respects. We've got our hot floppy. We've got our tech gator, which has been great wearing around the city of Gainesville, I'll just say. And then got a whole bunch of other designs that you can check out while you're down there. So go ahead and do that. Buy our merch. Buy that merch, friends. But while I'm advocating that you should buy our merch, I will also have to tell you that you can't buy as many Intel products as the world would want you to, because Intel is continuing to struggle with actually supplying them. This is something that's going in stark contrast to the products earnings call that they had recently, where the CEO Bob Swan was talking about how they are fine on production and that they've ramped it up quite significantly over the past few quarters, and that how dare you question us about our production? How dare you? Well, they released a memo on November 20th stating, "To our customers and partners, I'd like to acknowledge and sincerely apologize for the impact recent PCU shipment delays are having on your business, and to thank you for your continued partnership. I also want to update you on our actions and investments to improve supply-demand balance and support you with performance-leading Intel products. Despite our best efforts, we have not yet resolved this challenge. In response to continued strong demand," as if that's the issue, "we have invested record levels of CapEx, increasing our 14 nanometer wafer capacity this year, while also ramping 10 nanometer production." And that, my friends, is the issue where everything lies with Intel. They should have been, according to their own roadmap, well ahead of where they are at this time. And since they've been stuck in the mud on 14 nanometer processors, they have not been able to diversify their productions the way that they were expecting to. They expected to be on 14 nanometer chipsets, which goes into your motherboard, such as B360, Z390, etc., while being on 10 nanometer CPUs at this point. Thereby, they would have two different production lines going at the same time. But because they haven't advanced past 14 nanometers, it's all going through the same pipeline. And one of the things that has come out about this is that Intel is now looking for third-party vendors to continue to help them supply their 14 nanometer needs. However, that has nothing to do with their CPUs. Intel apparently refuses to let another company produce their processors, and so the 14 nanometer production that they're outsourcing goes to the motherboard. So if you want Intel's high quality CPUs, don't worry, you're still getting them. Maybe the chipsets, a little less than Intel standards, but Intel standards got them to where they are. So glass half full? Well, let's look at a glass that's sinking really quickly, and that is the upcoming launch of Cascade Lake X. There are reviews that are leaking out regarding Intel's upcoming high-end desktop chips, and the i9 10980XE review has leaked out, and it's basically a 9980XE, except for in a couple points here or there, and showing that in certain scenarios, such as in Cinebench, it's 2.6% slower than the previous 9980XE. This could be due to a whole host of factors, including the fact that it could be an engineering sample that was tested in this review, or it could just be due to different Microsoft updates, or a whole bunch of different reasons why their particular score is less than what we've seen from other 9980XEs that are out there. And Intel is hardly going to be somebody who's going to release a chip that is slower than the previous iteration, although they could technically justify it because they have essentially slashed the price in half. This chip coming in around $1,000, where the previous 9980XE was in close to the $2,000 region. So half price, you lose about 2 to 3%. What are you complaining for? You still got better value for money, unless you went with AMD, in which case you're stepping backwards. Let's move on to the next story, which is about AMD and how it's a step backwards and forwards all at the same time, and that is because a review has come out of the RX 5500 GPU, which was announced by AMD but has yet to hit retail shelves. Well, somebody got their hands on an OEM card that they have therefore benchmarked, and what we see is that it's actually a pretty decent GPU for roughly the $150 price point. New, it performs slightly better than an RX 580, it performs slightly better than a GTX 1650, slightly worse than a GTX 1660, all the while drawing more power than a 1660. So AMD's meme of being hot and power hungry is still just living on through even their 7nm process, which is one of the reasons why the fact that it draws more power than a 1660 is significant, because a faster card on NVIDIA's 12nm process is still not as power efficient as AMD's 7nm Navi architecture, which we're expecting to get refreshed next year, but this is not necessarily a great indicator that AMD is really building efficient GPUs, which was exactly what they pitched with Polaris. The RX 480 performance per watt was their main seller, and it was just all heaping crap. It was bad. Anyways, RX 5500 expected to launch sometime soon, but it's going to face some stern competition from the GTX 1650 Super, which is launching today. We don't have any more details than that, but November 22nd is the launch day for the 1650 Super, which will likely be exactly on par with the RX 5500 and be more power efficient and probably right around the same price, whereas the 1660 is slightly more expensive. The 1650 Super is probably going to outclass AMD's low-end GPU offering. Mid-range, whatever you want to call it, depending on how much money you have. And then speaking more about AMD, there's some interesting discussion that's been happening around the internet regarding AMD's preferred cores on their Zen 2 architecture, with things such as Windows and Ryzen Master choosing different cores that it was stating are the preferred cores for the operations that are happening. And this was finally discussed by AMD over on Reddit, with Robert Hollick of AMD saying Windows and Ryzen Master are both correct when identifying the fastest CPU core. The performance ranking of the cores is fused at the factory and reported by firmware, and both sources draw on that table. But Windows and Ryzen Master have substantially different goals when identifying a fastest core, which can lead to the appearance of a discrepancy. We plan to align Ryzen Master with Windows to alleviate the confusion. If you'd like the details, please read on. And then it goes into the actual specifics on why this is just a conflated issue, not something that's actually a problem when it comes to the preferred cores. AMD is right, Windows is right, and now we can all just have them merged in a harmony of broken families. I love it. And then speaking on a future AMD product, we got some details at Zen 3, which is supposed to be launched sometime next year, at least according to the reported timeline by AMD, with Forrest Narad from AMD saying that they are confident in being able to drive significant IPC gains each generation, with the fact that Zen 3 is supposed to be treated as if it's a brand new architecture. It's a lofty goal considering the fact that Zen 2 just launched, and within 12 to 18 months, they're going to be dropping a brand new architecture, which Intel hasn't been able to do for ages. Is this just something that's supposed to be happening in CPU manufacturing and Intel has kept us in the dark forever? Or is AMD just like betting the farm real big and hoping that things are going to work out and talking positively before they actually have the results? We don't know, but what we have seen from AMD is a reported track record of giving us IPC improvement expectations and then exceeding them. So we'll see where that goes. But you know who hasn't exceeded customer service points or just friendliness points in general, and that is User Benchmark. In case you're not familiar with the controversy that's been going on with them, they reconfigured how they tally up the total score of a processor over on their website, thereby de-ranking certain CPUs versus others. Ryzen 9's coming in at a less better CPU than an Intel i3 because of how they're weighting single-threaded and multi-threaded performance. This led to a huge hullabaloo everywhere, basically, because it sandbagged AMD's recommendations on their website, and a lot of people in the tech YouTube scene commented on it, including, not limited to, was a video by Hardware Unboxed discussing User Benchmark's dodgy CPU weighting changes, in which they took a fair representation of what's going on at User Benchmark and why they disagree with how that's set up. However, User Benchmark thinks that's incompetent smearers, that's what he has to say about Steve and Tim. You dirty Australians. That's just what I'm getting from this. They hate Australians. Anyways, jokes aside, over on the user benchmark About Us page, under the Why We Do It section, it states marketers make it difficult to choose the right hardware. Brazen shills infest public forums and social media. Incompetent smearers, with that being hyperlinked directly to Hardware Unboxed actual video on this, who prefer 4 mice to a cat, would happily sell water to a fish. Yikes. Even if you disagree with them, wow. Incompetent smearers. What does that make us? And then let's dive into some Stadia news, which, considering all of the crap that Google has put everybody through recently, it's not unexpected that some of the features and things that they communicated about their launch wouldn't necessarily be holding up. And one of those things that was circling the internet was the fact that if you got a game for free with your Stadia Pro subscription, or if you bought a discounted game with your Stadia Pro subscription, if you cancel that subscription, you thereby lose access to that game. Free games makes sense. If you have a PS Plus account, as soon as you cancel that, you no longer have access to the games. But they don't take away discounted games. And this is actually coming because of a tweet made by Stadia support on Twitter, which said that this would be the case. If you buy a discounted game with your Stadia Pro subscription, you lose it when you lose your Stadia Pro subscription. However, once people freaked the crap out about that, another Google Stadia representative came in to say, whoa, no, discounted games, still yours. You paid for them, they're yours. Why would we do that? I don't know, Google, why would you not give codes to people who pre-ordered on the day that you launched instead of to me who bought it 3 months later? The frick. All right, then let's get through a little bit more. Steam Remote Play Together, which allows local co-op over the internet. It's a oxymoron right there. Anyways, that launched officially today, coming out of beta, and to celebrate it, Steam is hosting a big sale on a bunch of multiplayer games that have local co-op, including games like Cuphead or even potentially The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, all of those games up to 85% off. Fantastic stuff. And then Sony announced that they have an AI division. Yes, my friends, and they're deeming it critical to enhance the value of their gaming and business, and they have 3 main sections where they're going to be implementing their AI division. The first is going to be gaming, which is obvious. The second is going to be imaging and sensing, which makes sense for their Xperia lines of phones. Catlin, your phone still sucks, don't care. And then thirdly, gastronomy. For all of that food stuff Sony does. I'm sure they're in the food industry somehow, but I have no idea how they're going to use AI to improve gastronomy. Tell you what. But you know who improved on money? Game Freak and Nintendo with Pokemon Sword and Shield, making it the highest grossing Pokemon launch of all time, selling 6 million copies in the launch weekend. 2 million of those happening in the first 2 days in the US. Sword and Shield just absolutely obliterating things. Speaking of obliterating things, Fortnite known for obliterating itself and the internet. Well, now I know people don't really like me talking about Fortnite. Anyways, they implemented DX12. Kind of cool. Performance enhancements and stuff. Red Dead Redemption 2 also came out with a hotfix patch to potentially fix all of the issues with stuttering and the crap that went on with their launch where they blamed it on NVIDIA and Gamers Nexus was like, this is bull crap. Anyways, apparently fixed now. Haven't been able to test that myself. And then something that's actually going to affect us here on the channel. PayPal has just announced that they are purchasing the money-saving service known as Honey. Yes, my friends, Honey, the free browser extension that you can install in just 2 clicks. Go to joinhoney.com/UFD or UFD Tech. I don't know. Anyways, PayPal bought it for $4 billion. $4 billion. It's been installed by 17 million users, and it's one of the branching out that PayPal is doing besides just money services. And one of the good things about Honey was the fact that they don't actually sell your data about your sales. They just make money off of the affiliate links when you buy something. PayPal might change that, which might mean that we might have to relook at our negotiations with them and see what's going to happen with them going forward. But PayPal buying Honey for $4 billion. Holy crap. And then lastly, it appears that there's some indication that the Super line of graphics cards from NVIDIA will be making their way to laptops sometime in March of next year. So in case you're holding out for a refreshed laptop to one you just bought, there you go. And I'm gonna get out of here. That's the end of Hot News. Don't forget to check out our fresh merch, Hot Floppy, press F to pay respects. I have a Hot News coffee mug. You could buy one of those as well at the merch link down in the video description. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech related content. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see your smiling faces again in the next one. Bye. forgot to turn this on, so that's good. Congratulations, me. Good work, Brett. Right? Am I right?